The ancient history of mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are not a recent nuisance. They are ancient veterans of the planet. Their history stretches back incredibly far, making humanity's existence a mere blip in their timeline. The dawn of mosquitoes, 200 plus million years ago, the earliest known mosquitoes emerged during the Triassic period, alongside the very first dinosaurs. Fossil evidence, including larvae found in amber from the Jurassic period over 175 million years ago, confirms they were well established by the time giant sauropods walked the earth. Prehistoric meals. While we have no direct footage, fossilized mosquitoes with traces of iron in their abdomen, a key component of blood, have been found in 46 million year old amber. This proves that their blood sucking behavior is ancient. Their meals would have consisted of dinosaurs, early birds, pterosaurs, and other prehistoric mammals. Survival experts. Experts. That's. I think that's what I said. um, Mosquitoes survived the asteroid impact that wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. Their adaptability, rapid reproduction cycle, and ability to hibernate as eggs or larvae allow them to weather the catastrophic event and thrive in the new world that followed, eventually finding a new primary food source: us. So, why do mosquitoes suck blood? The evolutionary reason. The short answer is reproduction. It's a common misconception that mosquitoes, mosquitoes eat blood for their own sustenance. The truth is more specific and fascinating. The sugar lovers. Both genders feed on nectar first. It's crucial to know that both male and female mosquitoes are nectarivores. They live on sugar from plant nectar, sap, and fruit, which provides the energy they need to fly and live their daily lives. Males are purely vegetarian and never drink blood. The blood specialists. It's all about the eggs. The bloodsuckers are exclusively the females. They are driven to seek a blood meal for one primary purpose: to develop and lay their eggs. Protein power. Plant sugar provides carbohydrates for energy, but it lacks the specific proteins and iron needed for egg production. A vital investment. A blood meal is an incredibly rich source of protein. When a female mosquito takes blood, she is essentially gathering the necessary building blocks to create viable eggs. This single meal allows her to produce a clutch of anywhere from 50 to 200 eggs. Evolutionary trade off. Seeking blood is a high risk, high reward strategy. The female risks being swatted and killed by her host, but the nutritional payoff is so immense that it ensures the survival of her offspring. Evolution has heavily favored this strategy. So, how do mosquitoes suck blood? Here's a miniature engineering marvel. The process is not a simple straw like sip, it's a complex and invasive procedure. Finding you. Mosquitoes are attracted to the carbon dioxide we exhale, body heat, lactic acid, and certain compounds in our sweat from up to 100 feet away. The proboscis. The mosquito's mouthpart, called a proboscis, is not a single needle. It is a sophisticated bundle of 6 tiny stylets, each with a specific job. The tools. 2 have tiny saw-like lancets to pierce the skin. 2 are used to hold the skin tissues apart. 1 is a tube for sucking up the blood, and 1 injects saliva into the wound. The saliva. This is the key to the entire operation and the source of all the problems. Mosquito saliva contains a cocktail of anticoagulants to prevent your blood from clotting and clogging her feeding tube, and anesthetics to numb the area so you don't feel the bite immediately. The itch. It's our body's allergic reaction to this foreign saliva that causes the familiar red bump and maddening itch. The terrible consequences, more than just an itch. The act of sucking blood itself is merely an annoyance. The true historical impact of mosquitoes comes from the diseases they transmit in their saliva as they feed. They are the deadliest animal to humans by a massive margin, responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths every year. Throughout history, mosquitoes have been silent arbiters of fate, halting armies, shaping economies, and determining the outcomes of wars by spreading diseases like malaria, yellow fever, dengue fever, Zika virus, West Nile virus, and chikungunya. In summary, mosquitoes suck blood not for their own food but as a reproductive strategy perfected over hundreds of millions of years. This single behavior has made them one of the most successful, adaptable, and tragically deadly creatures on Earth. I got inspired to write this because on my left foot, I have, I think, if I counted them correctly, 4 mosquito bites, 2 pretty big ones and 2 small ones, very near my foot. Very, very itchy and annoying. But now let's get into something else: the dark economy of blood. Corruption and exploitation in the plasma donation industry. Okay. So, the plasma donation industry presents itself as a noble endeavor that saves lives while providing modest compensation to donors. However, beneath this veneer of altruism lies a shadowy economy built on the exploitation of vulnerable populations, systemic corruption, and a history tainted by preventable tragedies. This examines the dark history of plasma donation, tracing its roots from early medical breakthroughs to modern day ethical quagmires, revealing how the pursuit of profit has consistently overshadowed concerns for human dignity and safety. Historical background: the origins of plasma collection. The modern plasma industry owes its existence to the groundbreaking work of Dr. Charles Drew, an African American scientist who pioneered techniques for blood plasma preservation and storage in the 1940s. His innovations enabled the long term storage and transfusion of plasma, which proved critical for treating wounded soldiers during World War II through the Blood for Britain campaign. Despite his contributions, Drew vehemently opposed the commodification of blood and plasma, resigning from the American Red Cross in protest of their racially discriminatory policies that excluded African American donors. Tragically, Drew's legacy was soon corrupted. The post-war period saw the rise of a for-profit plasma economy, particularly in the United States of America, which became one of only 5 countries worldwide alongside Germany, Austria, Hungary, and the Czech Republic to legally permit compensation for plasma donations. This created a system where human plasma became a lucrative commodity, fueling a global market valued at over $33 billion in 2022 and projected to reach $45.7 billion by 2027. The Arkansas prison scandal, a case study in corruption. One of the most egregious examples of corruption in plasma history occurred in Arkansas' prison system between the 1960s and 1994. Inmates at the Cummins Unit Prison were paid $7 to $10 per donation to regularly sell their plasma, which was then processed and distributed globally. The operation was run by Health Management Associates, HMA, a private company that contracted with the state, and later by Pine Bluff Biologicals. Systemic negligence and corruption. Unsafe practices. Prisoners were rarely screened for diseases like hepatitis or HIV, and there were allegations of shared needles and fraudulent record keeping to hide infections. Political complicity. Despite warnings from the FDA about the high risk of AIDS in prison populations, the program continued with the support of state officials. Then Governor Bill Clinton ordered an investigation, but ultimately allowed the program to persist. Global harm. Contaminated plasma from Arkansas prisons was shipped to Canada, Europe, and Asia, resulting in thousands of infections. In Canada alone, over 1,000 people were infected with HIV, and 20,000 were hepatitis C infected. The scandal was exposed in the documentary Factor 8, the Arkansas prison blood scandal from 2005, which revealed how state officials and corporate entities prioritize profit over human lives. To date, Arkansas has never apologized or compensated its victims. Global exploitation and targeting the vulnerable. The U.S. supplies 70% of the world's plasma, driven by a regulatory environment that allows donors to be paid and permits donation frequencies up to 104 times per year, far more than the 28-day interval required for whole blood donation. This system preys on economically vulnerable groups. Okay, targeting low-income communities. Demographics. Plasma donors are predominantly low-income, underemployed, and lack college degrees. Many are parents, and a disproportionate number identify as African American or male. Geographic targeting. Plasma centers are strategically located in economically depressed areas with high concentrations of payday lenders and pawn shops. For example, Flint, Michigan, a city devastated by deindustrialization and water crises, has 6 plasma centers serving a population of under 100,000. Border exploitation. Until recently, Mexican nationals crossed the U.S. border to donate plasma in Texas centers, which accounted for 10% of the U.S. plasma supply. When U.S. Customs reclassified plasma donation as labor for hire, requiring work visas, pharmaceutical companies sued to reverse the policy. The cycle of financial coercion. For many, selling plasma is not a choice, but a financial necessity. Donors are often motivated by desperation. Suppressing alternative debt. Studies show that the opening of plasma centers reduces demand for payday loans, which carry APR rates as high as 400%, by providing an alternative source of liquidity. Inadequate compensation. Donors earn $40 to $50 per visit but face hidden costs like transportation, time, and the need to maintain protein-rich diets to qualify. Some spend 5% of their earnings on special diets to meet donation requirements. Ethical dilemmas, altruism versus exploitation. The plasma industry obscures its profit-driven model by framing donation as an act of altruism. Marketing materials feature images of smiling children and adults who benefit from plasma-derived medications, creating a narrative of heroism. However, this narrative is misleading. Stigmatization. While unpaid blood donation is celebrated, selling plasma is stigmatized as an act of desperation. Donors often hide their participation from families due to shame. Moral calculus. The World Health Organization advises against compensating plasma donors due to risks of exploitation and health harms. Yet the industry justifies its practices by claiming plasma-derived medicines as life-saving. As a journalist, Kathleen McLaughlin argues the system relies on a myth that donors are primarily motivated by altruism rather than cash. In reality, the line between choice and coercion is blurred by economic precarity. Health risks and unknown long-term dangers. The plasma industry dismisses concerns about donor health, but evidence suggests otherwise. Frequent donation. The U.S. allows 104 donations per year, while countries like Germany limit donations to 50 times annually with rigorous health checks. Anecdotal harms. Donors report fatigue, fainting, and susceptibility to infections. The process itself, where blood is drawn, spun in a centrifuge, and returned to the body, can cause discomfort and physiological stress. Lack of research. There is almost no medical literature on the long-term effects of frequent plasma donation. High dropout rates in studies and a focus on short-term outcomes have left critical questions unanswered. The WHO has repeatedly warned about the harmful consequences of too frequent donation, but the industry continues to prioritize supply over donor well-being. Systemic corruption and industry practices. The plasma industry's business model is designed to maximize profit while minimizing costs. Predatory marketing. Centers use raffles, loyalty cards, and referral bonuses to incentivize frequent donation. Compensation structures often reward consistency, missing an appointment resets a donor's earnings to baseline. Regulatory capture. The industry operates with minimal oversight. The FDA has been criticized for lax enforcement, as seen in the Arkansas scandal, where centers quickly regain licenses after being shut down. Legal immunity. Blood and plasma products are classified as unavoidably unsafe under U.S. tort law, making it nearly impossible for victims to sue companies for negligence. For example, victims of the Arkansas scandal could not prove causation in court, shielding corporations and governments from accountability. Conclusion: a call for reform and reflection. The dark history of plasma donation reveals a troubling paradox. An industry that saves lives relies on the exploitation of the poor. From the Arkansas prison scandal to the targeting of marginalized communities, the pursuit of profit has consistently trumped ethical considerations. Reform is urgently needed. This includes compensating donors fairly and transparently without gamifying donation frequencies, funding independent research into the long-term health effects of plasma donation, strengthening regulatory oversight to ensure donor safety and prevent another tragedy like the Arkansas scandal. As society grapples with these issues, it must confront a broader question. Should human biological materials be commodified, or should we strive for a system built on genuine altruism and equity? The answer will define not only the future of plasma donation, but also our commitment to justice for the most vulnerable. The blood of the poor has become the lifeblood of a global industry. It is time to reckon with the cost. Thank you for watching.